Guys, what is going on? I hope you guys are well. Guys, I lied yesterday. I lied to you guys, and I apologize for that. I basically said I'm not going to do another Manny Pacquiao video because, you know, until we get an announcement, there's no point in me continuing to do videos. There's a lot of other stuff to talk about. However, I lied because there's big news coming out now that Manny Pacquiao is demanding 40 million, which I said yesterday, but I'm actually now, obviously it's been official, it's come on Boxing Scene. A few other credible boxing sources have reported this. So Manny Pacquiao wants that dough, he wants that dollar, he wants that payday against Terence Crawford. I said yesterday as well, and I'll say, and I'm reiterate this point, that I don't think it's realistic. I don't think he'll get 40 million. Now, someone said to me the other day that Manny Pacquiao should get, like, him asking for 40 million is not unrealistic. Yeah, it's not. Manny Pacquiao deserves every single penny. However, we're talking about a fight with him and Terence Crawford. We're not talking about a fight with him and Canelo. You know, we're not talking about a household name here. We're talking about a guy that has, you know, a few 100,000 followers on Twitter, a couple of 100,000 on Instagram. His pay-per-view numbers when he has fought on pay-per-view have been fairly poor. His highest pay-per-view numbers were against Khan. When he fought against Victor Postal, he did 50,000. This isn't a big star here, you know, and I don't think his fight with Manny Pacquiao does more than 300, 400,000 either. So Terence Crawford, unfortunately, as great a fighter as he is, unfortunately hasn't resonated to the public over there in America. And to ask for that kind of money against someone like Terence Crawford, who isn't a big draw, unfortunately, I don't think that's realistic, especially in the current times. I don't think Manny's going to get 40 million. By the way, I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve 40 million, because as I just stated, I think Manny deserves every single penny he gets. You know, someone said in my Facebook group actually that, oh, well, Pacquiao's asking for unrealistic money. Why is he asking for 40 million? You know, he's never going to get that. And I was like, mate, that's what he probably feels he's worth, that fight's worth right now. At 42 years of age, he may want 40 million. I don't think he's going to get 40 million. I don't know whether it's a negotiating tactic from Pacquiao, starting up really high and then coming down to a realistic price. I don't know, but when I say that he's not going to get 40 million, like, that fight for me isn't a fight where, if Manny was going to fight like Canelo, then 40 million would be realistic. But we're talking about Crawford. Let's be honest, we're talking about Crawford here. We're not talking about Canelo. We're talking about Bud Crawford. Is Bud Crawford really a draw like that someone's gonna pay you 40 million? Think about it. Think about it. No. Like the Amir Khan, they paid Amir Khan 5 million, right, for the fight, and Crawford got 5.5. Right? For me, that was a fairly big fight. They made a loss. I mean, from a name point of view, Khan's quite a big name. You know, he's not a small name. Especially when you look at, you know, the UK knew that was going to come in. And listen, I know Khan's name at that point in America had dimmed. And he wasn't as big a star in America as he was in his earlier days. But nevertheless, you know, for that fight to do 150,000 pay-per-view buys is fairly poor. How many more buys is the Manny Pacquiao fight going to do? 3, 4, 500,000? How are they going to make that 40 million? Think about it. It's like, in order to give somebody 40 million, you have to make that money from somewhere. Are you telling me that they're going to be able to make a profit? Because it's the same thing, right? You're back to square one. If Manny's asking for 40 million, right? Just like they've been making a loss for all the other shows with Terence Crawford, they ain't going to make a profit on this one. The reason why Bob Arum wants to make a Pacquiao fight is because he knows that there's a chance he could make a profit. However, if Pacquiao starts demanding that kind of money, they're not going to make a profit, because the fight numbers-wise ain't going to do that much, where they're going to be making 80 million on pay-per-view. Yeah, Crawford isn't a draw like that. And I don't know whether Pacquiao at 42 years of age could carry the pay-per-view himself. I don't think he can. What did Keith Thurman Pacquiao pay-per-view do? You know, this is what I'm saying. I don't think, personally, that Crawford Pacquiao is that big a fight where the fight, you know, would be, where they'd be able to pay Pacquiao 40 million. You've got to find that money from somewhere, guys. The only possibility is if that fight happens in the Middle East and the Arabs or whoever in the Middle East are willing to pay ridiculous money to Manny. That's the only way that fight happens. And apparently there was also someone else saying that Crawford would get 10 million, which would be double probably his highest purse, because I think his highest purse is 5 million. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't be unhappy with that. And someone was saying, well, Crawford's the A side against Manny. You know, I saw on Twitter, if you haven't followed my Twitter, follow my Twitter account. Someone mentioned, Michael Benson put up a post, and someone mentioned below it, well, oh, Pacquiao's pricing himself out of the fight. You know, Crawford's clearly the A side. What are you smoking? You think Crawford is the A side? Come on, man, stop that. Stop that nonsense. Crawford is not the A side against Manny Pacquiao. Crawford is a heavy B side, a heavy B. I'm talking, the fact that he's getting that fight and getting the money that, you know, that he would get for a fight like that, I think he should be very grateful, because let's be honest, Crawford isn't a star like that. I do feel that Crawford, for me, although he's a great fighter, I feel he has an overestimated opinion about himself in terms of his star power. I don't think he's a big star at all. I think he's a great fighter. I think he's a pound for pound fighter, definitely. I don't think he's a pay-per-view fighter at all. You know, if you look at, you know, their careers and what Manny's done on pay-per-view and what Crawford's done, it's chalk and cheese. You know, it's chalk and cheese. Manny's more of a celebrity, whereas Crawford's just a great boxer. Manny Pacquiao's a global name, and it's not just a guy that's known across America or Philippines. He's known everywhere. Manny Pacquiao's quite big here. You know, people know who Manny Pacquiao is here. They know who he is in all over the world, really. So, you know, I don't think, I personally don't think that, you know, that fight's going to happen if that's what Manny wants. If that's what Manny wants for the fight to happen, unless it's just a way of him, you know, he wants a Crawford fight, but he's negotiating a price and he's starting off on 40 million. Let's be honest, 40 million he ain't going to get that. It's too much money. You know, even 20 million, it's a lot of money for a Crawford fight. Even though I think that would be fair. 25 million, I think in that region would be great. Because when was the last time Manny got paid 40 million? You know, it's not like Manny's getting 40 million every fight. If I'm wrong, correct me. I don't even think he got 40 million for the Thurman fight. I don't think he got, you know, his previous fights. I won't be surprised if the last time he got paid that much money was against Mayweather. So, you know, for him to ask, but again, he's fighting one of the best in the world, so he wants to be paid. So the fact that Manny's asking for 40 million, you can't say, well, he's been unreasonable. Even though I don't think in this situation he's going to get it, but he's thinking, I'm 42 years of age, look what I've done in the sport. I'm fighting one of the best. Why not have 40 million? But I think it's more a negotiating tactic. If you know if you know the sport and you know boxing, it's kind of Manny Pacquiao stating, I want that, but then they'll negotiate a price, they'll negotiate down to a more reasonable price. That's what fighters generally do. You know, Pacquiao's not going to roll over and say, give me 15 million, is he? He's going to negotiate a price, he's going to negotiate a deal, and he's starting off a very high end. Because I don't think, if he wants a Crawford fight and he's serious, I don't think he's going to get anywhere near 40 million. I'm just being honest. I don't think they can afford it. I don't think the broadcasters, I don't think whoever's going to put that fight on can afford it, unless, like I said, it happens in the Middle East and one of those guys are just willing to put the money up. Then it's another matter. But it's not realistic if the fight's happening in America for him to be asking for 40 million. He's not going to get it. He's not going to get it, because it's not the fact that he doesn't deserve it. That's irrelevant. It's the fact that the money's not there. Because from a pay-per-view standpoint, that fight's not going to do enough buys or enough on the gate. Remember, look at the situation we were in. COVID, there's no tickets being sold, you know, or there's limited amount of tickets being sold. it's hard to make money right now. So unless someone comes in, someone rich comes in with the money, right, and that can only happen in the Middle East, this fight can't happen. Now, there have been talks about Manny fighting Crawford in Qatar. You know, if that happens, then the fight could happen. But I don't know how big Crawford and Pacquiao would be. Maybe, listen, man, who knows? Maybe they just would want to promote a Manny Pacquiao or put on a Manny Pacquiao fight. God knows, in the Middle East. But in America, that fight doesn't generate enough revenue for Manny to be paid what he wants. And I don't even think, even though he's negotiating high, I don't think he's going to be able to get paid even close to that. Like, even 20 million may be a stretch. Just because I don't think Crawford's a big draw like that. Because if they paid Manny Pacquiao huge money, they're going to make a loss. That's what you got to understand. They're going to make a loss on the show. And they've been making a loss on Terence Crawford fights for a very long time now. So that's why I don't think that money's realistic. Because Bob Arum, the reason why he wants to make the Pacquiao fight is because he wants to make a profit on a show. Because he knows Manny Pacquiao's a big draw, big name. And he wants to make a profit. He wants to make money. But if Manny asks for 40 million, then he's not going to make money. You're back to square one. You're back to the situation of fighting Amir Khan. You're back to the situation of fighting Kell Brook. You're making a loss. Just on a higher scale. And you'd actually be making a much bigger loss because you're paying him a lot more money. And if Pacquiao wants 40 million, how much is Crawford going to want? I know that 10 million is what, but he may say no. He may say, no, I want more. You see, so for me, those numbers aren't realistic. They aren't realistic. Even if you say that, yes, okay, Manny gets 40 and 10, 50 million altogether. Where's that money coming from? Where's that money? Where's 50 million? In order to pay the fighters, right, you've got to make that money. Unless you make a loss. Right? So where's the 50 million going to come from? It's not going to come from pay-per-view revenue. It's not. I don't think it's going to come from the gate where they're going to be able to generate that. See, I don't think it's realistic. I don't think it's realistic. That's why I think this is a lot of hot air. Unless Manny Pacquiao, it's a negotiating tool from Pacquiao in order to get the fight. This ain't going to happen. Let's be honest. I think you all are intelligent. You know your boxing. I know my boxing. We know that this isn't going to happen unless it's a negotiating tool from Pacquiao where he's trying to negotiate the best price for himself. This fight ain't happening. At the numbers that we're hearing and what Manny Pacquiao is demanding, it's not going to happen. Let's be honest. Let's be realistic. We all know the fight ain't happening. So this is why I say I think Manny should be looking. I think Manny firstly should be looking to get back in the ring. The Crawford-Spence fight, I told you a week ago that I don't think those fights are going to happen. I think it's unrealistic. I think the only way Manny takes a Crawford or Spence fight if they offer him ridiculous amount of money or huge money where it's just difficult for him to turn down. But in this current situation, in this current climate, is he going to get that kind of deal? I doubt it. I doubt it. And also, Spence and Crawford have kind of an overinflated opinion of themselves now, where they may think, oh, we want that. So it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen because I just don't think there's enough in the pot. I don't think the fights are big enough. 40 million, whew, that's a lot. That's a lot of dough, man. It's a lot of dough. I know people may say, well, Pacquiao, yeah, he may do. It's a lot of dough. That you've got to make that money, and unfortunately, the fight doesn't make that kind of money. And I don't feel it's right just for people to make a loss, just to fill fighters' pockets. I think you should get what you deserve, and you should get what you're able to sell as a fighter. And neither Pacquiao or Crawford are going to be able to sell that fight to generate that kind of money. You know? So I don't think the fight's worth that much. I don't think the fight's... If those numbers are correct, 40 million for Pac and 10 million for Crawford, the fight doesn't generate 50 million, in my opinion. So where are they going to get that money from? Unless it's an investor or somebody coming in from Middle East to put in that money, they're not generating it through pay-per-view buys or tickets. I don't see it. So the show would make a loss. So that's just my take on it. But leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. What do you make of Manny Pacquiao demanding 40 million for the fight? This has been reported on Boxing Scene and many other credible boxing sources. So go and have a look. Leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think. And guys, remember to please like, share, subscribe to my channel. and see you guys in the next video. Peace.